What makes a writing goal realistic versus just a dream that's out of your control? And how do you know the difference? In today's video, you'll learn why you need to know the difference between writing dreams and writing goals, and how knowing can actually set you up for success as a writer. Hey y'all, welcome to today's Live with Lisa. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I create videos that help you learn to write and live God's way. If you're looking to honor God with both your life and your writing, this is the place for you. I also want you to know that we partner every week with Our Given Purpose Ministries, which is an incredible ministry founded by my dear friend, Tori Slaughter, that helps you to grow in your walk with God and to get connected to godly community. So not only do we go live every week on YouTube and Instagram, but we also go live on the Our Given Purpose Ministries Facebook page as well. So make sure that you get connected there and you learn more about that ministry. So as I said, today we are talking about the difference between goals and dreams in your writing journey and why you need to understand the difference. I think a lot of writers fall into the trap of thinking that their dreams are goals and then planning along lines with that. And that can cause things to get kind of messy and tricky, and it can cause a lot of frustration ultimately. So let's dive into what this is really about. First of all, I want to be clear that there is nothing wrong with having writing dreams. There is nothing wrong with having, these ideas and, getting excited about your book and getting excited about things like, being a best-selling author and, earning an income and having readers that enjoy your work. There's nothing wrong with any of that. The problem is when you confuse your dreams with actual goals. And so let's go into detail about what that looks like practically. So first of all, I like to say that writing dreams are like the destination that you're aiming for in your writing journey. And so they represent the results that you're trying to get with your book, whether it looks like publication, a certain number of sales, a certain number of readers, whatever that looks like for you, the results that you want, that is your writing dream. Now, the goals are the roadmap. I like to say it's the roadmap that takes you to that final end destination. And so what I like to say, it's really the process that gets you where you want to go. And so an example I like to use for this is, let's say you're taking a road trip. Let's say you're driving from Los Angeles to New York City, right? New York City is that end goal destination for you. That's where you want to go. And so you might be excited about your trip. You might be excited about being in New York City. You might be excited about all the things you're going to do there. You might be thinking about what restaurants you're going to go to and where you're going to visit and how you're going to plan your stay. But if you spend all your time thinking about New York City and trying and what you're going to do there, you will end up not leaving LA, right? You'll end up not leaving where you currently are because you don't have a plan to get there. So that's what a lot of writers tend to do. They will put all their emphasis on the result that they want and on the end goal, but then they forget that there's a bunch of steps that are needed along the way. You still have to chart your trip to get where you want to go. And that's where goals come in. And that's why goals are important and necessary. And that's why we can't get them confused with dreams. Because if we're only focused on the end destination, then we miss the strategy that's needed to get us where we want to go. So I like to describe it that way. I hope that that image is clear for you all in terms of the difference between dreams and goals. The dreams are the destination. The goals are the plan to get us there. So I want to break this down a little bit further for you all and really get into some specifics. First of all, again, we're talking about the difference between dreams and goals. So, first of all, they tend to be vague, whereas writing goals tend to be specific. And so many times when people have dreams about their books, dreams about publishing, dreams about where they want to go, they tend to be very general. They're focused on things like making money and winning awards and having topping bestseller lists, maybe having long lines of readers that are excited about your work. Again, nothing wrong with that, but those are very vague and general. There's not really anything to nail them down. And so it's important for you to, at some point in the writing journey, to dig into the specifics of those goals, dig into the specifics and the details behind those ideas and those dreams that you have. So if we're talking about wanting to earn an income from our writing, for example, we have to dig into, well, how much money do we want to earn from that? How much money do we want to bring in? What kinds of awards do we want to win? What types of bestseller lists do we want to be on? And what is the process for submitting our books to those types of awards and lists, right? And why do we want to be on those bestseller lists? Why do we want those awards? What is that going to do for us long term, right? And so that is the difference between just a dream and the goal that's necessary to help us get to that dream. We need to know the specifics. We need to know the details in order to really chart that roadmap to get us where we want to go. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's get into some comments. Yes, so as always, I'm sharing the website. Thank you so much, Tori, for your help with that. And Tori says, yes, let's infuse our dreams with our goals. Yes. And that's exactly how this works. We bring the two together. It's not that one or the other is it's not an either or, it's both. And we want to make sure that we have both in the process of planning out our writing journey. Absolutely. And so the next step in identifying the difference between dreams and goals is that dreams tend to be based on feelings, while writing goals tend to be based on facts. And so when we talk about this, when we dream about money and success and readers and all these different things that we might be excited about, again, that's okay to have those dreams, but it's when it comes to that, it doesn't require anything of you. It might feel good to have that idea, to have that, that something that you desire in that way, but it doesn't cost you anything in order to get there. It's just something that makes you feel happy. It might make you feel excited or encouraged or maybe motivate you to keep going a little bit temporarily, but it doesn't cost anything from you ultimately. And so we want to make sure, again, that we're not staying with those dreams, just those things that make us feel good, but we want to make sure that we are taking the time to set meaningful goals that are realistic as well. Setting goals requires intentional effort. It costs us nothing to dream. It takes no time, hardly any energy. It's not really something that we have to do anything. It's just our imaginations and creativity can take over. But setting goals requires us to make an effort. It requires detailed market research to figure out who your ideal reader is. It requires creating a marketing plan, setting a budget, especially if we're self-publishing, right? And so there are different things that are involved in the process of setting goals. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes work, and it takes planning and strategy. And so we have to make sure that we're setting aside time to do that, and not just thinking about the parts that make us happy and make us feel good, right? Again, nothing wrong with having those dreams, but we want to make sure that we are bringing in those goals to ground those dreams in reality and in actual facts and details. All right. Tori says, so true. Goals require discipline and making an effort. Absolutely. Discipline is key. Yes. It is something that requires a little bit more intentionality as well. I think, really carving out that time to set those goals and make them a reality is really important. The next thing we need to know about dreams is that writing dreams are out of our control, while writing goals are things that are in our control. This is a big one. I see a lot of people make this mistake. They say that they want something like, being on a bestseller list, being on the New York Times bestseller list is especially, I think a lot of people, think about that and have that as a dream of theirs. But that tends to be something that is not always in our control. And so an example that I like to give with this, let's say we're talking about the New York Times bestseller list. That's something that's a dream of yours, right? Did you know that being on that list is not only determined by the number of sales that you get for your book? There are a number of different factors that determine which books are on the New York Times bestseller list. And you can look this up. There are some books that actually sell more than books who have been on the New York Times bestseller list. There are books that have sold more copies that are not on that list. And it's, there's a lot of different factors that go into that. And it's, there's not a lot of, it can be hard to find the details about what causes that and how those books are chosen. But just bringing that up just to say that it's not just about the number of sales of the books that you have. There are a number of different factors that go into that. So it's important for you to be aware of some things like that, because if you have that as a dream and you really want that particular accolade, you really want that particular, designation in that award and to have that title, you're going to be really discouraged to find out that, some of that is really outside of your control, right? But the effort that you put into the book that you've written, that you put into the work of making sure that it's polished and written well, and that it tells a compelling story, and that it's, that you've really done the work to make it a solid, strong book, that is within your control. You can put in that effort for that. And there's a lot of things that, are within your control that you really want to focus on in terms of your effort. And that's where your goals can come from, right? So you may not be able to have it as a goal to get on that bestseller list that you're looking at, but you might want to, for example, going back to this example we're talking about with the goals, you can submit your book to different local, regional, and national, and different awards where you can submit your book for consideration, right? And you can do research to figure out where you would do that and how you would do that. But that is something that is within your control. And so you want to think about that when you're setting goals, of thinking about what is it that I can do to contribute to this thing happening? What is it that I can, how can I put in effort to get this possible outcome, right? And thinking that through and really being mindful of that as we're going through that process is really important. That's also why it's so important for you to research and know about the writing and publication process, and to learn about that as much as possible, because that will help you determine what things are in your control and what things aren't, maybe not as much in your control. And a lot of this varies based on whether you self-publish or you publish traditionally. And so that's why you need to do that research on those types of things as well. You may assume that self-publishing is the best option for you, for example, but then you do some research and you find out that maybe the traditional route is better, or vice versa for you, depending on your particular situation. And so that's why it's so important for you to learn and get that insight and knowledge about writing and publishing, so that you're not setting goals based on faulty information. It's really important, and that will help you and empower you in the process of writing and publishing your book. All right. Yes. And Tori says, that's so good. We need to remember what is within our control. Life lessons. Yes, absolutely. That was something my mom used to say to me all the time growing up is, you can't control other people. You can't, what is it that you can control? What is within your choice? Like, what choices can you make? You can't choose for other people, right? And so it's the same idea. Absolutely. And then also, the next point is that writing dreams are about being passive for the most part, but writing goals are about taking action. I love this one, and I think this is such a really good to just think on and meditate on. If you're doing a lot of dreaming, if you're finding yourself creating these scenarios where your book is selling like crazy, and you have all these readers lined up to buy it, and you're making this income and all these different things, and you're resisting the process of setting goals, and you're resisting the process of really dialing in and drilling down and researching and coming up with a plan and with a strategy. Ask yourself why. It's important to consider whether you have some limiting beliefs and some mindsets that might actually be holding you back from committing to what you're trying to do. If you feel like it's so much easier for you to just think in, kind of vague and what feels good with dreams, and just kind of keeping it in general and not really getting specific, there may be a reason there may be some mindset things that are holding you back, that are causing you to struggle with really setting those goals the way you want to. I've done several different lives on these topics. I did probably, I want to say 3 or 4 lives talking just about mindset and the different mindset struggles that writers can have. And so I'll link to some of those in the description below. And so I want you to go back and check those out. I talked about comparison, rejection, just different things that can get in the way of us as writers and can keep us from moving forward. And a lot of times those issues will keep us from setting those goals like we need to. And we think that it's just that we're busy and we're not inspired, but many times we have things that are really holding us back and keeping us from taking that step of faith forward that we really want to do. So make sure you go back and watch those. I also want to encourage you to watch the live stream I did recently about setting goals in the writing process. And especially for, in terms of kingdom writing, when we're writing for God, there's so much in that live stream about how to really include God in the process of setting goals for our work. So I want to encourage you to go back and watch the replay of that as well. And I'll have links to several different lives in the description for you to check out when you get a chance. So definitely make sure that you are thinking that through, that you are considering whether those beliefs are holding you back, and really just being honest with yourself about the process. This is, we're all on this journey, and there is absolutely hope if you feel like you are kind of struggling to get a handle on those goals and you're doing more dreaming and it's a little bit more vague. I just want to encourage you to start bringing those dreams into reality. Start grounding those dreams in some goals. Again, not bad to have them, but we want to make sure that we are moving forward and taking active steps in the process to get where we want to go and where God is taking us in this writing journey. So I want you to feel empowered going forward. You can absolutely do it. And I want to encourage you to take that next step today, wherever you are, whatever you're working through, whatever project you have or idea you have that you've just been kind of mulling on and rolling around, in your thoughts. I want to encourage you to take that idea out of your thoughts and start writing down some goals for that book. Start praying into that and asking God what He wants you to do and the next steps that He wants you to take. All right. Amen. So we'll get into some more comments. Tori says, come on. Yes, to taking action. Yes, absolutely. Even if it's small, there's nothing wrong with taking small steps of faith forward. And Jesus even talked about that, about how when we have mustard seed faith, that is enough to move mountains when we partner with Him and we trust Him to lead us every step of the way. So don't be afraid to take those small steps forward. And I believe that He will empower you to run with Him in the process of pursuing what He wants you to do. Amen. Thank you so much, Tori, for sharing the link to the YouTube page. I so appreciate that. And I am so grateful to you all for being here. I'm so thankful that you are joining me either live or on the replay. And if you have been helped by today, if you found this information helpful, if you found it encouraging, let's make this a regular thing. Go ahead and subscribe and share this video with someone who needs some encouragement in the writing process. Make sure that you leave a comment below as well and let me know what you're working on, what questions you might have about the writing process. I would love to hear from you. I am just so grateful again to have been able to share this with you today, and grateful that you are I hope that you're being encouraged and blessed by these live streams. So that is it for this week's Live with Lisa. Once again, my name is Lisa, and I will see you in the next live stream. And until next time, take care and God bless. Bye, y'all.